computer. That was really loud. Okay, nice. Okay, let me screen share. And oh wait, give me 1 second. This is not going away. Nice. Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for waiting. Can everyone hear me properly? Am I good? Am I kind of fading out? Okay. Nice. So welcome. It's our very first HealthMUN workshop ever. We're so excited to finally start out our weekly workshops. Again, our weekly workshops are every week at Mondays at 8 p.m. And we're just so excited to have everyone here, especially now that we have new members to the HealthMUN staff team. So we just wanted to give an extra congratulations to them, our new e-board and staff. And thank you also to everyone who applied. We're so happy to see so many students at Rutgers actively taking part in this organization. But we do still want to emphasize that this is not a Rutgers exclusive club, once again. So if you didn't apply for staff or you were not accepted and you're from a different school other than Rutgers, we highly, highly, highly encourage you to apply for future opportunities. We're going to definitely be having more positions opening up in the future that would love to be filled in. So if you're especially not from Rutgers, we would love to see you apply. So let's start us off. So what is today's topic? You might have saw on like the little flyer that the topic today is how to MUN, right? So, you know, some of you would have thought that, okay, the normal thing to do is to say, what is MUN? Especially since a lot of you don't know what MUN is. So you probably would have thought that this meeting would be about the what and not the how. But really, there's not much to the what. I'm gonna be honest, there's really not much to what MUN is, other than this. So can someone tell me either in the chat or maybe you can unmute or raise your hand? Can someone tell me what they see in this picture? What is this? You know, what's going on here? And I can't see if someone's raising their hand. So if anyone could like tell me who wants to speak, just go for it or just unmute.
It's just a round table of multiple countries sitting down and discussing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nothing more than just a bunch of people coming together. In this picture specifically, it's around a table and they're ready to discuss something, like you said, like they have their papers ready. And notice how they're all holding different positions as well. There's one person per country in this case. So so that's the what really of MUN. That's what this looks like in every MUN committee you'll ever see. That's the gist. But so today, we're not going to be talking about the what because that's in front of us. We're going to actually be talking about the how and what goes on in this conversation. So how do you do that discussion in the first place? How do you get here really? And when they do get there, how does the discussion play out in MUN? So very briefly, I wanted to take us back to this slide. For those of you who went to the general interest meeting, you might recognize this. This was just to let everyone know that meetings like these, where we introduce MUN, is covering 2 of our 3 goals as an organization, which is the MUN basics and the workshops. So we're covering 2 birds in 1 stone here. So coming to these meetings is like basically 2/3 of this entire club. We're going to do things like this. And what we mean by the MUN basics were these 3 main categories, which we also talked about in the general interest meeting, which was 1, learning about parliamentary procedure, 2, practicing debate, and then 3, knowing how to prepare for debate through research. But for today's topic, right, for today's workshop, we're going to specifically talk about the first category, which was parliamentary procedure, right? Learning about what it is. So sounds like a mouthful. Parliamentary procedure. What is that? right? What on earth is parliamentary procedure? Well, I want you guys to think about, I want you to think about a classroom, right? Let's have a classroom as an example. In a class, we don't have discussions with our classmates and our professor by just blurting things out, right? Like we don't just say whatever comes to mind, and we don't say whatever we feel like at any given time. There are certain rules as to how we properly discuss a topic with a group of people, right? And that's also beyond the classroom. And in Model UN, right, that certain set of rules is called this, parliamentary procedure. And Model UN is very different to a classroom in the sense that parliamentary procedure has way more rules than a classroom discussion would. But what's actually interesting is that parliamentary procedure is exclusive for Model UN, right? So ParliPro is not used in the actual UN. It is only for Model UN purposes. In the actual UN, in the actual United Nations, and in many areas of law, we see a different set of rules being used. And that's the second red word you see here. It's called Robert's Rule of Order. And you'll see that it's very similar to parliamentary procedure, aka ParliPro. If I say ParliPro, it's just parliamentary procedure for short. The only difference between the two is that ParliPro makes and changes laws. Okay, so the little picture in the bottom, it looked maybe a bit confusing in the beginning, but it's to show that the UN doesn't make laws. The UN doesn't actually create or change laws. The UN by nature will give recommendations to issues. It will give advice on solving issues in today's world, but it's not actually going to enforce it. But in Model UN, right, and in HealthMUN, you pretend that you're gonna make laws and make change, right? But in the actual UN, you don't. And this is what I want you to remember is the biggest difference between the two. Robert's Rule of Order does not have lawmaking in it. And if you didn't know, maybe some people here knew what parliament meant in the beginning. And that's because parliament, right, means a group of people or typically a government that makes laws, right? It's legislative. So that's where the name parliamentary procedure is coined. And that's the biggest difference between Model UN and then the actual UN, which is a crazy difference. You know, you maybe think that the UN would have a bigger impact. Well, it kind of does because Model UN, we're just pretending, right? It's a mock version. But in the real world, you know, the UN doesn't actually enforce laws. It can only make recommendations because of Robert's Rule of Order. The UN is not a parliament. Yeah. So that's the biggest difference between the two. But I'm actually going to show you videos of each of them, right? So I'm going to show you one video of Robert's Rule of Order, and I'm going to show you one video showing parliamentary procedure. And at the end, I'm going to ask you two questions, right? The first one is this on the screen. It's what are the differences between these two videos? Okay, what are the differences between ParliPro and then Robert's Rule of Order? And I'm not going to tell you which one is which. So the second question that I'm going to ask you is, which one is Robert's Rule of Order? And then which one is ParliPro? You know, which one is more like the UN and which one is more like Model UN? Okay, so we're going to do that together. So let's show the first video. I love this video. So let's hope that this plays. I think I just clicked the middle and let me know if the volume works and you can hear it. I hope. Okay.
Okay, delegates, you leave tomorrow for the statewide Model UN, so this is our last chance to bone up. And bone we will.
Lighten up, please.
Finland, let's see that native dance. Smile more. Work that pelvis. No, too much smile. Sit down. Poland, tell us about your nation's achievements.
Well, I heard they sent a rocket to the sun once at night. And there was that submarine with a screen doors.
No. Young man, you need to do some serious boning.
Oh, grow up, Lise.
Okay, Libya, exports.
Yes, sir, you American pig.
Nice touch.
Let's see. The exports of Libya are numerous in amount. One thing they export is corn, or as the Indians call it, maize. Another famous Indian was Crazy Horse. In conclusion, Libya is a land of contrasts. Thank you.
I'd like to, but I'm afraid he has diplomatic immunity.
Point of order. If we want to learn anything, we must respect. Point of order. Lisa stinks. Hey, leave her alone. You leave her alone.
Order. Do you kids want to be like the real UN? Or do you just want to squabble and waste time?
Okay. So that was the first one. Again, I'm not going to tell you which one is like the UN and which one is like MUN, aka which one is like Robert's Rule of Order and which one is like Party Pro. I'm going to show you the second one first, and then I'm going to ask you. Let's do that. Okay. So this is the second one. It's a bit longer. Let's see if it plays.
Decorum delegates, I would like to welcome you to the 12th Annual American Mile United Nations Conference. This is the second committee, and we will be discussing microfinance loans for the third world and macroeconomic policy questions. But before we begin, let's have a roll call. Canada. Present. Djibouti.
Present.
Holy See.
Present.
Jamaica. Present. Japan.
Present.
United Arab Emirates.
Present and voting.
The chair recognizes United Arab Emirates.
United Arab Emirates moves to set the agenda topic to topic 2, followed by topic 1.
That motion is in order at this time. This motion requires 2 speakers for and 2 speakers against. United Arab Emirates. Djibouti. And against. Holy See and Jamaica. All in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? The motion clearly passes. Japan.
Japan moves for a moderated caucus of 15 minutes to discuss topic area 2 with 2 minutes speaking time and 1 point of inquiry.
Holy See.
Holy See moves for 30 minutes of unmoderated caucus for purpose of resolution writing.
Canada.
Canada moves to bring resolution 1.3 to the floor.
The motion is in order at this time. All in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? The motion clearly passes. Holy See.
Holy See moves to close debate on topic 2.
All those in favor of resolution 1.3, please raise your placards. All those opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. The chair recognizes Djibouti at this time.
Djibouti moves for a roll call vote.
That motion is in order. Canada.
Yes.
Djibouti.
Yes.
Holy See.
Abstain.
Jamaica. Yes. Japan.
Yes.
United Arab Emirates.
No with rights.
The resolution passes. Japan.
Japan moves for suspension of the meeting until 2 o'clock for the purpose of lunch.
So I'll pause it here. It kind of goes into more depth for the last 2 minutes, but the gist of the structure is there. So now that you saw both of them, let's go through the differences and the similarities as well. So first I wanted to ask, which one did you think was Robert's Rule of Order and which one was Parley Pro? Was it the first one or the second one? Let me know which one either in the chat or you can raise your hand and we'll pick on you. Any ideas? Any guesses? Okay, so maybe we'll answer the first question, which was, what were the differences between those two videos? And it could be anything, like how long it took, right? What was actually going on in those videos? What was the difference between those procedures? Really, you can list anything.
I would definitely say the second one was more organized than the first.
More organized, yep, definitely. And that probably explains why it was a bit longer. There was just more structure, there was more going on. Okay, organization, nice. Anything else? What about like, what about format? What about, was the first video, did the first video have that break where they were like sitting in the corner of the room and not really debating, or was it all debate like the second one? Or were they different in that? Okay, so yeah, I get that it's a lot. So we can go over the differences together. I'll just spoil the answers. So I think one of the first key differences was, again, like what we mentioned earlier, right? Notice how in the videos you saw that as well, right? In the second video, spoiler, right? The second video was parliamentary procedure, and the first video was Robert's Rule of Order. So the first one was actually more like the United Nations, okay? And the second one was actually more similar to MUN. That was actually a MUN tutorial by another university. So you probably saw in those videos that there was a point in the second video where they were making something called resolution papers. That's where you're making the laws, right? The imaginary laws that you're making in the mock the Model UN committee, right? So in Model UN, you pretend to make laws. You are making laws. You're pretending to be a form of parliament or a government that's legislative. But in the actual UN, in the first video, they weren't making any solutions to things. They were just kind of goofing around, kind of discussing their positions, their points, but they weren't making any solutions really. And if they did, they weren't like writing anything on paper. They weren't like stopping debate to do that. Really, there was no writing involved. It was just talking. Okay, that's the main point. The second difference, well, actually, this is a similarity, right? They're exactly the same. So notice how in both videos, you see people talking, right? The people talking are called delegates, right? So maybe that was referred more in the second video than the first. You in general, no matter if it's Model UN or UN, you have people who are debating called delegates. And then you have at least one person who's kind of like the head, the person who's moderating the discussion, you know, the one who's keeping it structured. And we call it the chair, right? In UN and Model UN terms, we call it the chair. And the second similarity, right, they both had this, was that the delegates in both videos, they had to signify that they wanted to speak. So how do people speak? They didn't just blurt it out. They either raised their placard or they raised their hand. Maybe they stood up. Maybe they even said it out loud while raising their hand, I wish to speak. Both of them signified a wish to speak, and they were picked on by the chair, the moderator. You know, kind of like in a classroom where you raise your hand and the teacher picks on you. They both have that. And every form of a diplomatic debate and discussion has this kind of structure to stop people from, you know, blurting things out and, you know, kind of saying whatever they want. Sorry, 1 second. Yes, and it's a spoiler, it's a spoiler, it's a spoiler, it's a spoiler. Didn't see anything, no spoilers. So last point, the last point, right? And this is probably a big difference as well, was that I kind of touched on this. So because parliamentary procedure involves making laws, there has to be a point in the committee where you write those laws, right? You have to come in those groups and draft those resolutions, right? Draft those solutions. You know, what are the solutions to the issues that you're talking about? And in the second video, they kind of did that. It was kind of in a goofy way, but that portion of the video where they were standing in the corner with like papers in their hand and like a laptop open, they were drafting what we call resolution papers, right? They had a moment in the committee where they were writing solutions. And we call that an unmoderated caucus, right? And you can kind of see it in the name that a moderated caucus is when they're discussing in a diplomatic format, right? The moderator, the chair, is picking on people, everyone is seated, and you're only allowed to speak if you raise your hand, your placard, and they pick on you. That is a moderated caucus or a moderated point in committee, a moderated discussion, right, by a moderator, right? So in the first video, we only saw that, right? It was kind of goofy. People were doing like crazy things, but in general, they were doing a debate or a discussion the entire time. So that entire time in the first video was a moderated caucus. There was no unmod. There was no point where they broke out of debate, got out of their seats, and drafted solutions on paper with the group, like what the second video did, right? The second video had that unmod where they were writing solutions in a certain group. Oh, did someone raise their hand?
Yeah, that's me. I was gonna say that someone has a question in the chat. Tara says, how is the chairperson decided?
Oh, how is the chair decided? Great question. So actually, a chair is typically like a staff position for a lot of Model UN clubs and organizations. At HealthMUN, you know, it's no different. Like it would be like applying for staff or e-board. A chair is under the term directorate. So there are certain people who run committees or moderate, and they're normally selected, in that kind of application process. Yes, that's for MUN. For UN, for the actual UN, I actually don't know. I thought maybe the chair most of the time would be the Secretary General, but I'm not entirely sure. But for MUN purposes, they're selected by some higher authority, maybe like the Secretary General typically, or other people on staff or e-board. Yes, if that helps. I don't know which one you were asking about. Yes. Also, feel free to just interrupt me. Like, don't be shy, guys. It's fine. Just cut me off. Awesome. So, did anyone have any questions? We're gonna have a drill. We're gonna have like a little practice, okay? A little demo. There's a lot of info, and I think the only way to really grasp the structure is to be in it, to be in MUN, to be in ParleyPro, rather than watch it and hear about it. So, did anyone have any questions about ParleyPro and Robert's Rule of Order before we do the drill? And by the way, the drill, all of what MUN does is ParleyPro, right? MUN is ParleyPro, so the drill will be ParleyPro as well.
Okay, yeah, I don't think there are any questions, so I guess I can get started.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, as Yasmin put it, let's put all this knowledge into practice with the don't show that yet.
Nice
Yeah,
spoilers.
fine.
I spoiled it twice.
All right. That's okay. All right, so let's put all this knowledge into practice with the drill. Right. In this drill, it's going to be in the form of a moderated caucus of 9 minutes, right? If you guys saw the slides before, the moderated caucus is when we're following strict parliamentary procedure where we go in a sequential order, everyone raises their hands to talk, right, and so on. So essentially, this will be a debate with a maximum duration of 9 minutes, with 45 seconds allocated to each speaker, right? Yasmin and Aya are going to be your co-chairs. Yasmin and Aya, if you could just raise your hands to show who you are.
Yes. Hello.
Just, yeah. All right, that's them. All right, so they're going to be moderating this debate, and they're going to be calling upon speakers to speak at every instance, and they're also going to stop you if you exceed 45 seconds during your talk, right? Just to be fair to all participants, because we want everyone to participate equally, right? So, do you guys have any questions about just like general parliamentary procedure or moderated caucus before I move forward to the topic? Feel free to just unmute yourselves or raise your hand or whatever. Okay, I'm assuming no one has questions. Okay, so, all right. So I'm going to be providing you with the topic, and you're going to have 5 minutes after I provide you with the topic to kind of just research the topic or write down whatever thoughts you have. And then after that, when we get started, sorry about that. Seems like someone's trying to join in. Yeah, when we get started, you can raise your hand either physically or like using the Zoom raise hand feature to speak, right? Junkie, I feel like there's 2 of your camera by the way. Okay, you're good. Yeah, sorry about that. All right. So if there are no questions, I'm gonna go ahead with the topic. All right.
Okay. Also,
Okay.
I apologize
Yeah.
that the agenda is not. Sorry, can I just move? Yeah, the agenda is not written. Unfortunately, I don't know why it's not showing up.
That's okay. I can
Want me
talk
to
about
write it down? Then I can just quickly copy paste. But yeah, I just asked to just listen to the topic carefully. Rishik's gonna explain it to you, and then we'll move to the drill.
Sure. Okay. So, are you guys familiar with the Marvel Cinematic Universe or Marvel in general? I'm assuming a big bunch if you are. It's pretty much everywhere. All right. So today's topic is about Thanos, right? For those of you who don't know him, he was a supreme warlord who gained tremendous power after obtaining the Infinity Stones that you can see on his fist. And he used this power to eradicate half of the universe's population in order to preserve biodiversity, because he feels like the population is taking it too much of the resources that are finite in the universe, right? So once again, his reasoning behind this was that the universe's resources are limited, and killing half of all life would enable the other half to prosper, right? And he's considered one of the biggest villains of the Marvel universe, but was he truly evil in his intentions? That's for you to discuss. So I want you to debate for or against Thanos' stance within 45 seconds each. And once again, raise your hands if you want to talk after the other person's done talking, and Yasmin and I are going to pick you and stop you accordingly. All right, so over to Yasmin and Aya if you want to start the
Right.
moderated caucus.
Okay, yeah, so how this looks is I have a gavel here, okay? I use this gavel to limit the speaking time and the committee time, okay? So as your chair, I'm gonna call into order a 9-minute moderated caucus with a 45-second speaking time. When you reach the 45-second limit, I'm gonna bang the gavel once, and that's gonna ask you to stop speaking. Yes, okay? And Aya, my co-chair, is going to pick on people to speak. So we're first. Oh, don't worry. We're gonna have like a 5-minute, like preparation time. You can like if you want to research, if you want to think about what to say, go for it. Yeah. I'm gonna put a timer for 5 minutes, and then we'll start once the 5 minutes has elapsed. Okay. Okay. So your time starts now.
I hate to disturb the 5 minutes, but there's a question in the chat.
Oh, awesome. Okay, I'll just pause the timer. Nice. Go for it.
Okay, so questions asking if we need to take just one stance or not.
No, absolutely not. So I think the awesome thing about MUN, as opposed to the actual UN, is that there's no pressure to like take a stance. You're not like a president of a country, and you're not forced to, have a strong opinion on these things. Okay, so this is all for fun. You can say whatever you want. This is just to understand the format of discussion, right? Just to understand Parley Pro basics. No pressure. We're not going to judge you on what you say or your stance. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Good question. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to resume the timer and I'll let you know when it's up.
I believe the timer's up on my side, but I'm not sure if it was.
Okay, I guess I cheated a little bit. Nice. Okay, so yeah, the timer is definitely elapsed. I'm so sorry, it didn't ring. Okay, so with that, I'm going to call this moderated caucus into order. You'll be timed 45 seconds per speech upon per delegate being called. And whenever you're ready, Aya, all those wishing to speak.
All those wishing to speak, you can raise your hand in the Zoom feature or just unmute yourself. Junkie, you have the floor.
I believe Thanos is not evil. So his main goal was to stop people from dying from starvation like he did, like his family and everybody in his homeland did when he was a child. So he was purely driven by the goal of not letting other people starve to death. So I believe that he has a noble reason to do what he does, though he may have had like wrong actions to do it, but his goal was pure. He even went about killing his own daughter to serve the purpose of backing up his goal. So that's what I think.
Perfect. Right on the
Thank-
dot. Thank you, delegate.
Tejas, you have the floor.
I believe that Thanos is not right in his methods towards accomplishing prosperity. I believe that he could have gone an alternative way, and the fact that he had to kill his own daughter does not allocate some benefit of the doubt for him as being a true savior for the world. He could have simply just used the reality stone and created a lot more food sources for the society in general. There, thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Ollie, you have the floor.
I got you. Yeah, I think Thanos is completely like messed up in his big purple head. Honestly, because it just doesn't make sense to kill your own daughter, in my opinion, at all. Just like Thanos has stated, there are other alternatives. And with a man so powerful like Thanos, at that point, I'm sure he probably could create another Earth if he needed to. You know what I mean? So picking up your daughter and dropping her in the deepest depths of space is not an option. But yeah.
Thank you, delegate. Adnan, you have the floor.
Honorable delegates and honorable chair and fellow delegates. Today we deliberate on a matter most important, human life. What is more sacred than preserving the lives of our own? One might argue nothing, but I disagree because I believe that we should not put the lives of others for the sake of preservation. As we know by the very evil and very muscular purple man known as Thanos. The very essence of this discussion should be around how can we preserve life without losing others. And I believe that as the General Assembly, we should be focusing on solutions rather than evil and non-ethical ones. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Tara, you have the floor.
Okay, so from a perspective that is, I'd say, all logic instead of moral or ethical, it isn't a bad idea in order to help continue the human race if that is his actual goal. So with the intent of preserving the human race and like the future, then this would be a good idea. But I also do wonder if the human race would end up in the same spot again after a while. Like they'd kind of just have the same issues, especially because his idea is that like he's not picking and choosing. It's a random group of people that get erased. So who's to say it won't happen again?
Thank you, delegate. Your time has elapsed.
Thank you, Delegate. Louis, you have the floor.
Thank you. Sorry, it might be a little loud because I'm in the library, but I think Thanos, I think he's a little bit wrong. His thinking may be a little bit narrow. For example, otters are a keystone species, and if you eliminate these otters, if they go into extinction, it will lead to the collapse of the ecosystem it holds together, creating less biodiversity. So I think we can apply it here in the same sense. Thanos is indiscriminately killing half of the population. So you don't know if he's killing, just half of like a species or entire species.
Thank you, Delegate. All those wishing to speak. Again, you could just raise your hand and I'll pick on you.
All those wishing to speak at this time, and you can obviously speak more than once if you've spoken already.
Junkie, you have the floor.
Let's start by defending my point of why Thanos is not evil. Though there have been other suggestions that came to mind when proposing a better world, like creating new resources using a reality stone. However, that's not possible because reality stone merely creates an illusion rather than actually creating matter out of nothing. So though he could have not killed people, the other solution proposed isn't any better than actually killing half the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. All those wishing to speak at this time. Tara, I'm not sure if your hand is raised again or you have the floor. Okay.
All those wishing to speak at this time.
Tejas, you have the floor.
I would like to go back to the reality stone point and disagree with your statements. Actually, by the Marvel Cinematic Universe fandom, the reality stone does give Thanos the power to warp and transmutate matter into anything he wishes. So therefore, he could just use the power to transmutate any inanimate matter into food sources that could be used to feed millions, if not billions, of people.
Thank you, Delegate. All those wishing to speak.
All those wishing to speak at this time. We have 3 minutes to this moderated caucus, so we can take about 2 speakers.
Ollie, you have the floor.
I also would like to mention that when all the stones are put together with one snap, half of society gets erased. Where something gets destroyed can also be made. So with all the stones together, it has the power to create something beautiful, which is, a better planet, bigger, stronger, more resources, all this kind of stuff.
Thank you, Delegate. All those wishing to speak.
All those wishing to speak at this time. Those who have spoken already may speak again.
Adnan, you have the floor.
Just wanted to say I changed my mind and I think we should annihilate, instead of half of everybody, I think we should annihilate the entire population and kind of do a great reset on biodiversity and have resources begin from the beginning in this world of Star Trek. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate.
All those wishing to speak at this time. We can take about 1 more speaker for this moderated caucus.
Louis, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think we need to focus on the fact that this person Thanos has a little bit too much power, and I believe that we need to like maybe assemble a team to remove this power from him. That's all I have.
Awesome. That was a great last speech and recap to this Moderated Caucus. This mod has elapsed. Congratulations, you just did MUN for 9 minutes. That is what Parley Pro looks like. And normally in future workshops, we're gonna do more of these, but with a little bit more to work with in the agenda. The agenda is not gonna just have what do you think about this and what do you think about that? We're also gonna be challenging you and asking you, how do you think we can solve this issue, right? So if we bump this agenda up a notch and we said, you know, Thanos is choosing to wipe out half of the human race, unless he's given something else to substitute that, then that would be asking you, you know, what are we willing to sacrifice as a group? What do you think would be enough for him to stop like erasing the human race, half of it? Yeah, so things like these, we're just gonna challenge you a bit better, and it's gonna be about, yes, saying what you believe and what you think and how you disagree with some people, how you agree with some people, but then also how do we solve this issue? Like, how do we stop Thanos from wiping 50% of the human race, right? So that's what MUN is, and you guys did that. So that's pretty much it for the drill. For next week, all right, we're going to be doing more drills like these. We're going to try to do drills like these every week. We'll also have speakers coming in, bringing in more realistic issues than like Thanos. We'll bring in more realistic topics, and we'll do drills off of those as well. We'll do drills on topics that presenters and guest speakers come in with for more discussion. And just expect it to look like this, right? We're going to be doing drills like this every week. You're going to be practicing Parley Pro like that every single week. And that's going to help you, break the ice. If you didn't speak in this drill, that's okay. We're going to teach you that over time, how to just throw yourself in there, just try it out. And yeah, and you'll get used to it. The more you do it, the more you get used to it, and the better you do. You're only going to get better if you keep doing it. So yeah, this is what it's going to look like. So for next week, we're going to do that, more drills. And then we're going to emphasize a little, we're going to actually expand upon this, this slide I had here earlier. These are actually not just all the differences between the two procedures. There's actually a bit more. And next week, we're going to go into that a bit. Mainly, you can expect next week for us to talk about things like points and motions. I said the word motion a little bit. When I said I motioned for a moderated caucus, what does that mean? Why am I, what's moving? What kind of motion? What is she talking about? Yeah, we're going to be talking about that next week, points and motions. And then we're also going to be talking about types of MUN committees, right? So in the UN, we do more things like this, where we're discussing an issue, and maybe in MUN, we're coming up with things to solve it with, but you don't see the immediate results. You just draft a solution, you draft a resolution paper, and you don't really know what happens. You can't like time skip, right? In the real world, or like what we did here today. We can't like time skip and be like, oh, what did Thanos do 50 years later? What happened to the human race after this discussion? But you're going to see that in MUN, there are actually some committees where you can time skip, where you actually can see the immediate results to your solutions, right? So with the Thanos drill, right? Like if we, let's say as a committee, I tasked everyone to come up with like a solution to it. And let's say the majority of us liked Thanos's idea and we let him do it. In something called the specialized MUN committee, you're going to see the immediate results of that. I would come to you and I would say, okay, your resolution has been passed after much discussion, and this is what happened. Now what do you do? So it's a great way to think about these issues. It's like it adds like a different dynamic to it. It's definitely a different level of problem solving than what you see in the actual UN, right? Because in the real world, you can't, again, like time skip and see the results of solutions that they suggest. So yeah, we're gonna see more of that. We're gonna go into the yellow boxes next week. So before we close, are there any questions in general about anything, about what I talked about like the future, next week, the drill? I mean, maybe you wanted to say something, you're confused, anything. Were there any questions in general? And someone can let me know if someone's asking in the chat, or you can just unmute. Okay, seeing no questions, that's it for today. Thank you so much for coming. This is our first workshop ever, and this was awesome. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you guys soon.
See you. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Wait, Rashid, Yasmin, could you guys stay for a bit?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Oh, thank you. Bye. Bye. I can't see who I have to move the chat.
It's okay. No one said anything in the chat. You're good.
Oh,
You were
thank
just
you.
saying, yeah.
Awesome.
Yay.
Wait, so are we gonna have like a meeting with all the new board peeps?
Yeah, I'm
Wait.
gonna send
Yeah,
out
I
a
think
message actually for e-board and staff. So that's not right now. I'm gonna be doing that. We have time. So I'm gonna send out a message tonight in the Slack. Yeah.
Okay. I also started. My fault.
Also, just one thing, sorry. Natalia and I think they just left actually. Never mind. But I was gonna say that I'm gonna think of like a time for us to meet up for the communications board as well. So
Yeah, oh yeah. So yeah, I'll reach out to Justin too and Mila. I'll send a message to move forward with e-board and stuff. Yeah, so no worries. I'm gonna let you know what's gonna happen. Yeah. Yep.
Perfect.
And now
And
you
I
can
also
rest.
started I started the nonprofit process to make us like an official nonprofit in the bank account and stuff. So when we do all
Awesome.
together, I created like a presentation and some like documents. I started getting ready already. So when we all meet together, I'll definitely show you guys it and all that.
Stop recording too. What am I?
Natalia and Neela, do you guys have any questions or?